Follow me, and I will make you fishers of people. In this reading, we hear how Jesus starts to gather his cabinet officials, gathering around him those trusting friends with whom he can travel, heal, and support those on the edges. It's interesting to note that Jesus doesn't speak to the Wall Street fat cats or the Silicon Valley technocrats. No, he speaks to the shepherds, the poor who have no property, those crushed by Roman authority, the widowed, the orphaned, and today, the fishermen. I'm sure it was an awful life to be out in the boats on the rough sea of Galilee, risking life and limb every day. Now, these same hardworking men cast down their nets at Jesus' invitation and off they go. And with that action, it's actually one of resistance against the Roman authority. That Roman authority controlled their lives, their livelihood with fees, economic constraints, expressions of power. But with that action, their lives changed from being fishermen to disciples. I wonder if they knew what they were doing. And I do have to say at the outset, I have this love hate relationship with this text. On the one hand, I am thrilled to see Jesus using modest means to spread this revolutionary message, encouraging those from the edges to draw in others, asking them into this net. But conversely, what about Mrs. Fisherman and all the little kitty fisher people? What about Mr. Zebedee, abandoned by his sons? Who'll keep the business going? Did Jesus really want to create this kind of family friction and ruin? How big is this net anyway? Will it hold them all? But that image of the net, I think Jesus suggests those of us who yearn to believe and be with him can settle into that net with others and be saved. I like that. I've experienced that, being caught or invited to join others in good work for God. When we got married, I started going to church with my dearly beloved. I had no church history to undo or to color my expectations. The folks there were a motley crew of intellectuals from the IBM research lab to folksy plumbers and electricians. The men always supervised the parking lots and the picnic barbecue grills, but seldom came into the church with their wives. But they all spoke this common language of faith, empathy, love, even joy in the Lord. So I came in with no grand ideas of my self-worth, no concept of merit, just a strong desire to serve. So I didn't just jump into this pool to serve God. I cannonballed right into the deep end, trusting that what I needed would be given. I also trusted the expectations that others had of me to guide me and give me that perspective. If you know what's expected of you, what is hoped for you, sometimes you can live into that challenge. Alan Turing, who is supposed to be the father of modern computing, he's supposed to have said, sometimes it's the people no one imagines anything of who do the things no one can imagine. And so if we follow the simple instructions that Jesus gave us, love the Lord with all your heart and mind and spirit, and then love your neighbor as yourself. If we love God like that, his spirit will guide us to the next best steps for our neighbor and stranger. We can change from being a curious fisherman to a robust disciple full of God's love. Also in the text, it's interesting that Jesus says he will make them into fishers of people. Not, I will invite you to become, or I want you to consider it, or demand that you do this task. No, I will shape you. I will mold what is already in you to be able to do this job. Well, of course, the disciples say yes. They've felt a call, a tug away from their way of life currently to fish for people for Jesus, to tell others what it's like to be confronted by the kingdom of heaven and then be asked to serve in it. And this is the opportunity that we are being given every day to be the hands and feet of Jesus in this hurting world around us. We're being asked to cast our net into the world to draw any and all into this life with Jesus. Those who believe and those who do not, especially those with whom we agree and those with whom we do not agree, those on the edges and those in the penthouses, because this hurting world needs Jesus now more than ever. We know these are difficult times, and as bearers of God's love, it will be incumbent on all of us to speak truth to power about injustice. To everything there is a season, even discord. The job of a prophet is not rosy, but several voices raised in unison about the truth can be effective. Elena found a wonderful quote for me from the historian Howard Zinn. It's actually printed at the end of the bulletin if you have it. I'll read it to you. It's really inspiring. To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolish and romantic. It's based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of a world in a different direction. And if we do act in however small a way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents. And to live now, as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory. So, what was true for those fishermen in Galilee is still true for us. Jesus called ordinary people, right in the middle of their ordinary lives, to be in relationship with the ordinary people all around them, and through that do extraordinary things. He's still calling. There is still work to do. Let's go fishing. Amen.